What is up, guys? Welcome back to the vlog. My name is Garrick Stover and I am the CEO and founder of Reps Up Athletics and RUA Apparel, and I'm your online coach. So without further ado, today I want to talk to you guys a little bit of how I got to where I am today in terms of my coaching and my business. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. Let's go. Okay, so first things first, I kind of want to talk to you guys right at the start. Childhood. When I was young, taking it way back, I came from a broken home. My parents were constantly fighting. My father was very abusive to my mother. Physically, he was abusive to me and my sister mentally, verbally, kind of aspect. But we saw lots of fights. I noticed my dad hit my mother, beat her, all that kind of stuff, break things, smash it towards her. It was just an overall gong show. So that was part of my life that I don't really touch on much, but it happened. So I'm going to just share it with you guys a little bit. So that was relatively tough. It caused a lot of drama within the family, caused us to be all over the place, caused us to stay with family and relatives. Luckily, my grandparents are the shit, so I got to stay with them a lot. I didn't really realize what it fully was at the time. I didn't really realize the magnitude of what that was at the time, so it didn't really hit me until I got a little bit older and realized like how fucked up that was. So that was basically my childhood in a nutshell. It had us moving a lot. It had us going from place to place. It had us going from different schools. I was literally in 4 different elementary schools by the time I was in 3rd grade. So never really had a friend group, never really had ties to people strong, like a best friend or anything. I had friends, but I never really had a best friend until grade 3. That's when I met Kevin Dunn, good friend of mine, awesome guy. Me and him never really got super close though until about grade 7, but I met one of my best friends, Sean. He's super cool, one of my best friends to this day. Those two are kind of like my go-tos for everything, so they're my 2 best friends in this entire world. And I met them years after being in school, so that took a lot of just me and my sister dealing with a lot of stuff, and thankfully, like I said, I have really good grandparents that kind of helped me along with that. So the childhood was kind of all over the place. Now, as we move into my teen years, my dad actually, after numerous times telling us things that my mother was doing wrong, things that made her look poor to us, he did every single one of those things. We came home one weekend from visiting my mother's for the weekend, and everything in the house was sold. Everything was gone. Except mine and my sister's rooms. Nothing was touched in there, thankfully, but everything was gone, man. Like literally everything. There was nothing left. They were literally sitting on lawn chairs, and they had a milk crate with a cardboard box flattened on top for a table, and they were drinking. Him and my uncle. So that was pretty rough to come home to, asking him what the hell's going on, and he's got no answers but stacks of cash, and sold everything in the house. He had nice furniture, we had really state-of-the-art stereo system, nice TV, and everything was gone, man. So he had stacks of cash sitting there, and he told me he's moving halfway around the world to New Zealand, and he's not coming back. So that was awesome. That really didn't really hit me again as hard till a couple years later past that, when I realized really what it was. And now that I'm a little bit older, I'm kind of glad it happened like that, because I wouldn't really want to turn out like that guy anyway, and my life took a whole different direction from that. So it worked out for the best in the end. It was shortly after that when I started, it was around the grade 7 mark when I started to, my dad's not around. I really want to play sports. I've played it a little bit in the past, but I really found a passion for it. So I jumped into my school sports, jumped in playing basketball, football, running track. I was always in intramurals. I was always in the gym in my free time. I would skip class and go to the gym and tell them that I had a spare. So it was kind of a thing that I'd always do. I never really, it was never a struggle for me. Even our beep tests and our fitness tests during every month that they do in gym class, the 12-minute run they'd make us do, which they don't do no more, which I think is kind of dumb. Like, there were so many people that walked it anyways, as long as you completed it for 12 minutes. But you see how many laps you can do. I would be sprinting that whole thing just because I wanted to beat every motherfucker in there. I was just like, nope, I'm gonna get fucking 40 laps. If that guy got 50, I'm gonna get 50. If that guy got 60, I'm gonna get 61. Like, it was always like, boom, I had to be competitive, but I always had to notch up, level up. So I was always kind of driven for sports and driven for that hunger. So it just transitioned really smoothly into me playing basketball, football, track. It was just kind of like my niche, my shit. So that's kind of what the end of junior high and high school started to taper off to, is to me really developing a passion for and love for playing sports and being in that community and being in the gym, being in the weight room, being in all that stuff, and just being around that environment. That's really where I found myself. So with that, that's basically what my high school looked like. Now, going into high school, I hung around mostly jocks, so I looked like a typical jock. Always had a haircut of some sort that looked fresh. And that wasn't always the case during junior high. I had like green hair. I had crazy ass, the rat's tail, but I had one in the front, one piece of long hair, mohawks, bald. Like I had wild hair up until like grade 9, and then started being like, not GQ, but I just started being fresh, started being the jock, but I also still hung out with like the people who smoked pot. I hung out with the people, I've never smoked a cigarette, but I hung out with the people who smoked at those doors, and just gave me a stigma, right? I was always either with those people or with the jocks. So I kind of got along with the mixture of people, but that's kind of where I fit in. And it was weird because the jocks, super sporty, super, about athletics and that kind of lifestyle. And then you had the other hand where they were like, go chill out, get stoned, watch a movie. So it was like two totally different aspects, but it was two sides of me that really just, I had fun doing both. So both sides were great. There's no real, I don't like one over the other. I just love sports. So it just tapered me into that. So that's kind of how my high school looked. Now, post high school, if we fast forward a little bit, we get to grad. And grad, my birthday's in September, so I was 17 at the time of grad still, and I managed to have my girlfriend, who at the time was 18, get me all my drinks. So secretly, I got hammered, like shit-faced, and one of the first times I actually got super shit-faced. I'm not much of a drinker, but it was grad, so I figured like throw it up, right? And that next morning, I was scheduled to be on a roof for MJ Roofing doing steel and ironwork, their metal division, doing that behind their roofers. And I was scheduled to do that at 7 a.m. the next morning. So hungover as shit, I started my new job, and it was horrible. It was like plus 35 that day. It was scorching outside, and I had to work on a hot roof. It was horrible. I didn't enjoy it at all, but I champed it out, and I ended up, still to this day, I'm in that career, I'm in that construction trade. My stepdad actually opened up his own company. He worked at MJ Roofing at the time. That's who got me the job. And I ended up, when he opened up his own company, I actually jumped and worked for him, and I have been ever since, as well as doing my coaching, my clothing brand, all that kind of stuff, doing everything to do with Reps Up Athletics and RUA Apparel. So that kind of is my side hustle, and I'm trying to transition it into being my full-time hustle, my full-time thing, because that's what I love to do. I love to change people's lives, and like the clothing I've always been passionate about. I've had a background in managing and running a traveling touring hip-hop group slash music group. Like we didn't just do hip-hop, but that was our category. Anyways, we did a traveling thing, and I managed the merchandise, I managed the videos, I managed the artwork for the albums, I managed the production, I managed the producing, I managed the marketing, all that kind of stuff. So I was just kind of taking that and transitioning it over to my fitness stuff. I figured it would be a good way to push my stuff, and the clothing really started out as for my clients. But as any business goes, or anyone doing business knows, it doesn't go according to plan. So as I provided more coaching stuff, I realized that, okay, I'll get some clothing for these people. Got some clothing, that would pick up a bit. Then as the clothing picked up, I got more clients, and I got more interest in that, and it just kind of goes back and forth. So ever since then, it's been just back and forth, and I love it. So hopefully, pretty soon, I'm hoping that it can take over my day job, because it's getting fucking exhausting. But I love the grind, I love the process, so I'm not really complaining. I'm just saying that's where I'm going, that's where I'm headed, that's where my goals are taking me. So my vision for this is to take it to the next level and have that be where I can actually do this full time. My coaching and clothing and Reps Up Athletics can be my full-time gig. But I do love the side of being handy. I do love working with my hands. I do love getting dirty and actually putting the work in. So I mean, for now, it's not the worst thing in the world, but I do want it to transition that way. So back to that, the day after grad, I was hungover as shit. I've been in this trade for the entire time. That has been it's about 10 years since I've graduated now. Holy fuck. So I've been doing this trade for about 10 years, pretty fucking good at it, so it can always be a fallback plan. But back in the day, when I first started, I didn't have as many bills, didn't have as many things to pay for, so what ended up happening is all that money started going towards drugs and alcohol and drinking, partying, going to the bar, and none of my buddies were working like that, so I was usually the cash flow for it. So my checks usually went like that. Don't have anything really show for it savings-wise, but I had a great time. Did a lot with my buddies, went to a bunch of bars, did a whole bunch of drugs, and everything from cocaine to Molly, ecstasy, drinking, weed, obviously all that kind of stuff. Never did anything crazy, and by crazy I mean like crack or meth or anything wild like that, but I have been around those people, and that's not really my scene, that's not really my shit, so I kind of tapered away from that. And as I started to realize, like, yo man, this isn't my shit, like I'm getting more and more into this thing, and it's not really for me, it's not what I want to do. So I realized that I gotta switch it up, and that's when a buddy of mine who I was doing that kind of stuff with was like, man, every time I feel like shit like this, I go to the gym, I work out, and I feel 10 times better. So I started doing that. I started getting into the gym, and I started realizing, like, oh wow, like I actually feel a lot fucking better from this. And I was like, that switch turned on in my head where I was like, damn, this is actually fun, this is cool. Why am I drinking and doing drugs on the weekend when it's hurting my progress, it's hurting my gains, it's not allowing me to progress anymore, I'm just kind of maintaining this plateaued area. So I cut the drinking. I've never been a huge drinker except for that little phase, and even then it was more the drugs, which ain't any better, but so yeah, the drugs, the alcohol, it all stopped. I started going to the gym hardcore, like 5-6 times a week. I started eating right, started doing things to help me get better in the gym, and ever since then it's been a constant snowball effect, which has been growing. And the cool part about that is that switch that turned on for me is now the motivation and the driving force as to why I want to help and coach so many people, because that switch really changed my life. It took me from a path that could have been horrible and further into drug use and alcohol abuse and a whole bunch of things like that, which I have a family, with my father and everything, my birth dad, my donor as I call him. I have a history with that, and it's ugly. So I didn't really want to get into that, I didn't want to go down that road, so I jumped back to my personal love and my personal passion of fitness and nutrition and my pride in helping people and my joy of helping people, and just combined that. And that's really where I found personal training and online coaching. For the longest time I've tried getting into a gym, but being that I work for my stepdad, I don't want to let him down and leave the company, and that's where that kind of left off. Now my vision for my company and myself, moving on to the future, what I have currently done is I've hired a coach, Brian Mark. He is a business coach. He used to be an online coach to help people transform their bodies. Now he's an online coach to help people transform their businesses, doing fitness coaching. So he's helped me scale my business, he's helped me get more leads, he's helped me secure more clients, and he's helped me really take my coaching to the next level, and all the holes that I was missing on ways to provide you guys value and really provide my clients with a 5-star premium coaching service. He's filled in the blanks for me. He's taught me everything I need to do, everything I need to know, the ins and outs, the tricks, and the little things that I was missing that really make this a 5-star premium coaching program. And I wholeheartedly believed in myself before any of this, and more so now that I have this training and this knowledge, and I have the resources and the things to give you guys and the tools to give you guys to teach you and show you this on a whole other level, a whole other scale that I couldn't even imagine possible in the past. So I have the utmost confidence that even though people say, oh, you're an online trainer, that's a super saturated market, oh, you make clothing, that's a super saturated market, everything nowadays is saturated. You can't do anything without knowing 50 people online that do it, but that's the fact, because we're all online. There's so many people doing things that they promote online. Whether you're a mechanic that does it in person, you've probably got an online presence of some sort. You could be a doctor in California who does nose jobs, and you probably have an online presence somewhere. So everyone's online to some certain degree, if you're in business typically, so I won't say everybody because I doubt it's 100%. But the majority of people have an online presence who are doing business, who are entrepreneurial. So you will find like-minded people because we're all connected through the entire planet on our phones. So yes, it may seem saturated, but the difference is I set myself apart. I know in my heart, and at the end of the day, that my products and my service are top-notch compared to anyone else, and I have that confidence in them that no one can take away from me. No one can tell me they're not, because I know they are. I know I've putting in the work, and I don't rush things. I do it very meticulous, and I understand that rushing it is not going to be the key. But with that being said, I don't really have an option of rushing it because I've done my construction job working for my stepdad's company my entire life. Well, since high school, right? So this is basically what I know. It's provided me with my vehicle, it's provided me with my life, it's provided me with my place that I stay, it's provided me with the food that I eat, the clothes that I wear, everything, right? So if I am to take that away, all of that goes away. So I've got to maintain that first off. So after that's maintained, then any extra income can become capital into my businesses. Now, the fact that I also have coaching and the services and things that I provide, and the apps that I have for you to log in and into through my company and my brand, all cost me money to operate and run every single month. So the clients I do have currently are paying for that kind of stuff. So my business just getting started and you know, really pursuing coaching and really taking it to that next level and having it take over my day job and not just be a side hustle where I have 2 to 3 clients, 5 clients, you know, actually get like 20, 30, 40, 50 clients and plus and beyond. But right now I'm thinking 10 is my goal, and after that we'll move on. But my future goals, my big picture goal is to have 100 plus. Like, that would be great, and have coaches work for me under the Reps Up name and blah 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 blah. But for now, 10 is the goal. We're going for that, and then we'll move from there. Bite sizes, right? Bite sizes goals. So that's kind of the vision I have for my brand, is to really scale it to the next level, really impact and change as many people's lives as I can, and not rush it. Because like I was saying, my day job doing construction provides me with my life. Now, any extra becomes capital for my businesses, but I have to make my moves super, super smart. That's why I can't rush at things, even if I wanted to. Because if, say, I'm in a position where 90% of my income goes to my life and sustaining my life and being able to live, eat, have clothes, all that good stuff. If I'm to, you know, take that extra 10% income, save it. Take that 10%, save it. Take that 10%, save it. Eventually, I have enough capital to do something with, right? Which is great. But now, if I don't make that my best move, if I don't do it as smart as I can, even if it fails, which happens lots of the time, happened more than I've succeeded, but I've learned from it every time. But my point is, if I take that capital and invest into something, it has to be super smart, has to be super thought out, has to be well played, because if that fails, now I have to take 10%, 10%, 10%, 10%, and scale it back up and try again. And if that fails, it's like repeating this process over and over and over. And it's not a quick process. It's a process that takes like 6 months to a year to kind of get the funds to really put towards it, just the way my life is and the way things have gone. And I'm not complaining, I'm just sharing you my experience. So as an entrepreneur who's got to sustain this lifestyle, and trust me, it's not like I live a baller ass lifestyle. Like, I don't party, I don't go out, I literally grind on my business. So that's why I have the utmost faith that most of my money goes back into my business in promotional ways, in providing value to people, going the extra mile, because the more you put out, the more you're going to receive. And I feel right now is my time to give. And when it's my time to receive, if I've planted enough seeds, there'll be fruit to harvest. So I'm kind of looking at like a long-term game, because I don't want to just rush into it, pump out a bunch of things, and look for people's money. That's not what I want to do. I've got my own job that can take care of my life. I'm not looking for people's money. I mean, obviously, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want this to be my, like I've told you guys, like I want it to be my full-time career, and if that's going to be the case, I need to make money from it. So that's kind of this, that's where I fit. I'm in that gray area. So I love providing value and I love doing it, so I'll do it even if it makes me go broke. So when the value comes to you guys, I'm hoping that I get an ROI sometime in the future, and this can be something I do my entire life. Whereas if I even fail and, you know, I spend my entire life trying, I've spent my entire life trying to do something I love. So both ways, it's not a loss. Some people may look at it as like, oh, you wasted your life, you could have been doing this, you could have been doing that. I could have, but do I love that? Do I love this? No, I love what I'm doing. I love where I'm going. I love who I'm with and what it's about. And I love helping people, and I love this community. So I just wanted to share with you guys today where I came from a little bit, kind of touch on my childhood, kind of touch on where I was as a teen, kind of touch on where I was during high school, how I came from an abusive background with my father, and how I now refer to him as a donor, because it's basically what he was. He was around for the first bit of my life. honestly, he was pretty cool when I was younger, but the person he is up here and the things he projects and the way he goes about his life, I don't jive with at all. My family has ridiculed me for the way I call him a donor, the way I perceive him, but they weren't there. They don't know the things that went on behind those closed doors. You guys right now have gotten more information than my family's got, just because they don't want to hear it. I've never really gotten a chance to do it, and now that years have passed, I'm not going to really rehash that and be like, yeah, so actually, my dad was drunk every night. Me and my sister were putting him to bed, getting him changed while he was passed out drunk on the couch or the floor or the table or wherever. Wouldn't eat, so we'd have to force him to eat. The story goes on. Like, he was never physically abusive to myself or my sister, but he was very mentally and verbally abusive. He would scream for things that didn't need to be screaming. If you got upset as a child and started to cry, he'd be like, why the fuck are you crying? And like shit like that, right? Like, as a little kid, it fucks with you, and it's just not cool. So that kind of aspect totally don't jive with, and it's one of the best things that happened for me, so I wanted to touch on you guys with that, because as dark as that sounds, it actually made me into the person I am now. And I actually have a really cool stepdad who's kind of stepped in. My grandfather was super cool. He stepped in and he really took the reins and taught me everything I know. I actually wear this hammer necklace. He passed last December. Rest in peace, grandpa George Suffeldover. I love you to bits, and I miss you, man. But this is a little bit of his ashes inside of this hammer, if you can see that. I grew up as the only grandson out of 8 grandkids, and I'm the only grandson. So anytime my grandpa needed any work done, anytime there was anything to do with labor intensive, get the boy out there. So with my dad not being around, even before that, I was always doing it with my grandpa, but especially when he was gone, it was like that fatherly figure, that role model. I love him to bits. So when he passed, I took it very hard, but thankfully I got a bit of his ashes. And one of these cool ass necklaces, I got this like super cheap online, but it's a hammer because I had to do lots of the work with him. I was always his right hand. I was always the guy holding the flashlight for him when we worked on cars. I was always that person for him, and this kind of means a lot to me. So to have Kropo Funeral Home, they were super wonderful during the whole process. Put some of his ashes in here. My sister actually got a little locket. My grandmother did too. My auntie and cousins, I believe, did. So there's a little bit that we all got. So it's cool that he's always here with me, because throughout my entire life, he's probably one of the people who made the biggest impact on me. So now I carry him around here, and I actually got his wedding band when he passed, which in the future, if I do get married, that's what I'm gonna use for mine. It's a little big. He had huge fucking mitts, so it's a little big on my hand. It fits my middle finger but not my ring, so I'll have to get a size. But as for now, he's here with me, and I love you, Grandpa. Just want to get that out there. But he's the man who taught me how to be what I am, and taught me my morals, my values, everything. And as of that, man, that's kind of a general summary from my childhood to where I am now. And if it wasn't for those mistakes, and it wasn't for those people making those impacts on my life, I would not be the person I am today. Sure, at the time it sucked and it blew chunks and I hated it, but in reality it made me the person I am now, and I'm stronger for it. So I hope you guys took something from this, that you can really see who I am, be a little more transparent with you guys. You guys can see that I'm in this for you guys. I'm not in this to be slimy, I'm not in this to be skeezy. I'm in it to literally provide value and make my passion my career. So I love it that you guys tuned in. I appreciate it that you guys tuned in, and I hope that you come back for more. If you like this or got value from it in any way, shape, or form, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, as it helps me get closer to my vision, and hopefully one day quit my fucking day job. So with all that being said, much love, guys, and I hope to God I can catch you in the next one. Much love, and I'll catch you guys soon. Peace out.